Everybody is kung fu fighting. Your mind becomes fast as lightning. Although the picture is a little bit frightening. Little bit frightening. The knife that you're riding. You're an island in the rough. A brilliant ball of clay. You can be a work of art if you just go all the way.
So Into the Badlands Season 2 continues the badass Into the Badlands show from Season 1 that I've already reviewed on my channel. If you haven't seen that review, I'll drop a link down below in the description. But for now, I'm talking about Season 2, which just wrapped up its season finale about a week ago. Either way, I figure enough time has passed where people have seen Into the Badlands and they've watched the whole season, or at least they've caught up on it, or they've seen the finale. I'm going to be talking about some spoilers for Season 2. You have been warned. 2 seasons in, if I could sum up this show in one word, it would be the cliched word that you all know is about to come out of my mouth. Badass! Season 2, it kind of takes the story and the characters from Season 1 into a lot of new and intriguing and interesting directions. I would say that the story and the characters are handled a lot better in Season 2 than they were in Season 1. And even though Sunny is still technically the main character of the series, it still feels like it's an ensemble piece where other characters you can become really invested and really drawn in and really care about them and their journey as well. Season 2 in the Badlands, it pretty much turns into all-out war between Widow and the other Barons, and then Quinn, who was supposed to have died in Season 1. No, he's still alive. Vale, for some reason, saved his life, and so he's back, and he's kind of the wild card in the whole thing. While you've got that going on, you've got Sunny. Sunny, this season for him is really about redemption. It's about him trying to overcome the clipper and the killer that he once was, the loyalty that he showed to a scumbag piece of shit that Quinn was, and for him to try to get back to the Badlands, to try to reunite with his girlfriend and their child, who, yeah, Vale has a kid now. She had the baby. She was pregnant at the end of Season 1. So redemption is the big theme of Sunny's arc this season, and him trying to create a better life for himself, and him trying to move on and become more of that hero, more of a hero than just a killer who follows orders from Season 1. Annie Wu anchors the entire show. He's the best actor on the show. He has some of the best action scenes in the show, obviously. There are a lot of great standout moments for Sunny in terms of fights this season. There's the junkyard fight where he and Baji are trying to get access into the Badlands. They run across this really dangerous human trafficker dude, and the human trafficker dude is, you know, he's abusing kids and abusing women, and so Sunny decides, hey, we're not leaving without those two that you're abusing right there, and this leads to a really awesome, almost Jackie Chan-esque type of fight in a junkyard with all these other dudes where Sunny is just using the environment to his advantage and kicking ass left and right. He did that a little bit in the first episode of this season where he's kind of locked into this guillotine thing where his head and his arms can't move and he's just locked into a piece of wood, but he still somehow is able to kick an entire room full of ass of people that are trying to kill him. One of the best things about Sunny and his arc this season is the interplay and the chemistry that he has with Nick Frost's character. Nick Frost in this season plays a character named Baji. Yeah, they're locked up together, they escape together, and then the rest of the season is about them forging some kind of friendship. Feel like Nick Frost, okay, when I first heard Nick Frost was going to be in the show, I was like, oh, well, there's your comic relief. They're going to try to lighten the mood a little bit in the show and give you that comic relief character. So that's all Nick Frost is going to be. And Nick Frost is a great comedic actor, so you would assume that he's going to be the comic relief in the show, and to be fair, he is kind of funny in the show, but really, Baji has some layers to him, man. Yeah, if you peel back the layers of Baji, you find out there's another character underneath there. This guy has a past. This guy is actually not as helpless and funny as he would have you believe. You find out he has a connection to the Abbotts from Season 1. Remember those people that came into the finale and they kicked Sunny's ass and they kidnapped MK? Yeah, Baji actually has a connection to them. He has a past with them, and that is really fascinating stuff. And also throughout the entire season, you're not entirely sure where his motivations and where his heart really lies. Half the time he seems like he's out for himself, and the other half of the time he seems like he's a genuine friend who wants to help Sunny. So in some small way, this season is also about redemption for Baji, and their camaraderie, their chemistry, their back and forth, one of the highlights of Season 2, bar none. While that's going on, you've got the Widow. Now, the Widow, to me, had the most compelling character arc of any character on the show this season, and that is because the Widow starts to transform herself a little bit into one of those barons that she claimed to hate in Season 1. From Season 1 onward, Widow represented herself as this badass, sexy-ass chick with principles and morals, and someone who would stand her ground and fight for what she believed in. She believed in peace and equality for all men and women, and she was willing to have a safe haven for people. She was trying to get rid of the whole cogs and baron system. She was trying to just let people be free. In this season, we see the Widow go down some truly morally ambiguous paths. She gets corrupted a little bit. She starts to challenge her morals and her ideals, and she starts to transform into the kind of person that she probably would have cut down and killed in Season 1. Tilda started to become a little bit jaded and a little bit surprised at how her master, her mother, became so unethical towards the end of the season. This culminates in a brilliant fight in the second to last episode. I'm not good at remembering episode names, so don't ask me to remember what the name of the episode is. But either way, it's an episode where Tilda and the Widow actually have a fight, master versus pupil. Not only is it brilliantly filmed and choreographed like most of the fight scenes in the show, there's so much more emotion behind it. You can really feel and understand why Tilda feels the way she feels as she sees that Widow has compromised herself, and she's just like, I'm not gonna stand by and just watch you sacrifice all the things that you told us we were fighting for. It's kind of a point of no return for Widow. That's one of the more compelling character arcs on the entire show, and to see her struggling with Tilda and to see her struggling with the other Barons, and in particular seeing her struggle with Quinn, who we all thought was dead in the last season, but this bastard refuses to die. Kind of funny, Quinn is back in the season. Vale saved his life apparently at the end of the first season, and it's kind of funny. He's dying in the season. He still has that tumor in his head from season 1. But Quinn is like that villain that you love to hate. He's vile, he's disgusting, he's depraved, he's a bastard. You don't like him. He's slimy in everything that he says and does, but for some strange reason, you feel like the show is better with him in it. I feel like every show needs that character. They need that character that they love to hate. They need that character that they just don't like, and Quinn is that guy. He spends most of the season terrorizing Vale, keeping her prisoner. He really just wants her baby. He ends up forcing her to marry him. He ends up almost raping her. Dude, again, I was happy when he died at the end of the season, but it took a while to get there, and all the while I'm just like, man, I want somebody to go in there and put something sharp into his neck. He does eventually die in the season finale, which I'm kind of glad for because there's really nowhere else for his character to go after this season. It does lead to a very awesome badass fight between Sunny and Quinn, where again you have master versus pupil. Remember, Quinn trained Sunny into being that badass clipper, and that was a really compelling fight, and that was a really interesting fight because there were about 2 or 3 times during that fight where I was like, okay, well that person should be dead. And they're still going, they're still doing this thing. Also a couple of instances during that whole end sequence thing where I'm just kind of like, man, if characters had made different decisions, I don't think any of this would be happening, but can't bitch about that too much because then we wouldn't be having so much kung fu fun. The only 2 issues with this season really is that, okay, the fight choreography is the standard for every show on TV today. So this show still has some of the best fights and the most memorable action sequences on TV. I mean, I've mentioned a few of them. There's a big fight at the conclave between Widow and Tilda and Waldo and the rest of the Barons. That shit was really awesome. There's a moment late in the season where Sunny and the Widow team up against one of the other Barons' Clippers. That was really awesome. There's a rematch. We finally get the rematch against the Abbotts that we've been praying for. Sunny and MK and this other chick named Ava, and eventually Baji, they come in and they all fight these Abbotts, the Abbotts that kicked Sunny's ass in the finale last year, although let's be honest, they cheated. There's a fight that Sunny has against a former Clipper in the first 3 episodes that was really fun to watch. But overall, I would say the fight scenes aren't quite as good as they were in season 1. The way they film it and the way they helm it, there's a little bit more slow-mo, there's a little bit more obvious wire work in this season. It's not every fight this season. I don't want you to think that I'm bagging on the fight scenes. Fight scenes are still really impressive. They're still really good. It's just when you compare it to the first season fight sequences, I don't think they're that good. And also, there's a few subplots and storylines in season 2 that kind of get abandoned and don't really get a lot of closure and don't get a lot of things, and maybe they were doing that on purpose to set up for season 3. But either way, I got to address it in this season. It's just some of the subplots like MK and his whole training with the master and the Abbotts in the monastery, that kind of didn't really go anywhere. You have MK held prisoner by the Widow in the season finale. We don't really get any closure with that. Season 2 I actually kind of enjoy more than season 1 because the story and the characters are better than in season 1. The fight sequences dipping a little bit does not take away from my overall enjoyment of, in my opinion, one of the best shows on TV right now. And I'm gonna give Into the Badlands season 2, yeah, you know what I'm gonna give it. Alright guys, that is my review for Into the Badlands Season 2. Tell me what was your favorite character in Season 2 and what was your favorite fight scene. Let me know in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!